Welcome, my great and wonderful people of Biafra. Top of the day to you. Permit me to give you this speech about the making of Simon Ekpa, Alexander the Great. Mazi Simon Ekpa is an embodiment of Biafra's struggle. He took over the initiative shortly after his boss, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was kidnapped and incarcerated by Nigerian authorities. Their thinking then was that the perpetual detention of Nnamdi Kanu will eventually bring the Biafra agitation to nothing. But they are shocked by the superlative performance of Ekpa and his colleagues in pushing the Biafra actualization forward. He is a kind of Alexander the Great in the making. The truth remains that God is using him mightily, as he used individuals like Alexander and Darius in the past. The Lord has a master plan about the major events in the world, both the ones that have taken place and the ones yet to take place. Biafra's sovereignty is one of them. God planned about succession of world empires. They featured Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, Darius of Persia, and Alexander the Great Macedonia. Others are yet to come. Jehovah used those men at one time or the other to fit into his master plan for the end of this world. Some of them were ungodly men, not fully aware of God's hand upon them. Nevertheless, God used them to achieve his purpose for nations. They thought it was by their own might to conquer nations, but later some of them realized God's supernatural intervention in their lives for the great victories. God allowed Alexander to easily conquer nations which were much stronger and more armed than his. Their soldiers vastly uh, outnumbered his. He met little resistance in the territories he defeated. God showed Prophet Daniel in a revelation referred to Alexander as the he goat that broke the horns of the ram. The ram signified king of Persian Empire. Daniel chapter 8 from verse 5 to 8. God said he would conquer nations and establish himself in the empire. Four kingdoms will rise from his domain. History had it that when Alexander died, his kingdom was split among his four army commanders. People are amazed at the high level of success Mazi, Ekpa, Simon Njoko, and his colleagues have recorded in the struggle. God is highly involved in what they are doing. The Lord has seen the oppression and bondage of our people in the hands of Hausa Fulanis with Yoruba collaborators. He has therefore come down to deliver us from the hands of wicked as he did to Israel under bondage in Egypt. Simon Ekpa continued with his activities in a non-violent form after the detention of Nnamdi Kanu. He was merely exposing the atrocities of Nigerian armed men deployed to terrorize Biafra. He videoed and showed to the world the secret killings going on there against his own people. They mounted roadblocks even inside villages, extorting money from people and arresting innocent youths. Mortuaries were filled up, especially in Imo State, with dead bodies of youths killed. All kinds of criminally minded people were given deadly weapons and uniforms to terrorize the land. His lamentation and those of us on the media over the carnage going on in eastern Nigeria fell on deaf ears. Internationally, international community did very little or nothing to address the genocide against us. The impunity of our oppressors began to get out of hand. They started burning houses and shops of our people under flimsy excuses. At a stage, Ekpa began to issue warning and ultimatum to those terrorists in uniforms to stop burning properties, but it yielded some results. Then they began to bomb our villages with warplanes. Of course, many people were killed. The dictator who left power in 2023 committed a lot of despicable acts during his misrule. Soldiers used machine guns to spray bullets on houses, and people in our villages, the impostors and illiterate, wreaked havoc in our land. God Almighty will expose and punish his devilish acts. World bodies did nothing to stop them. They were bribing left and right and center with huge quantity of crude oil coming from Biafra land. They sent billions of dollars worth of crude oil to world leaders in exchange for support and delivery of sophisticated weapons to kill innocent people. You claim the warplanes and other war weapons of mass destruction sent to them are only meant for fight against terrorists in the north, but you know the purpose is to be used to kill Biafrans in the south. You make blood money. There is a God in heaven who judges people according to their deeds. During these periods, Maze Ekpa Simon Joko never allowed the Biafran security men to attack the military. The concentration was to chase the sponsored Fulani terrorist headsmen out of our forests. Then, Methodist Church prelate of Nigeria, Uche by name, was kidnapped by Fulani headsmen in the year 2022, along with two occupants in his car. They were tortured for 3 days. 100 million naira ransom was paid before their release. Half of the money went to their elite sponsors, who include top Nigerian government officials from the far north. That Fulani impostor from another country ruling us never uttered a word about the kidnap and atrocities of his kinsmen, the complicity of the Nigerian rulers and their armed forces were exposed by the Fulani abductors. They say they are on a mission to kill our people and take over our land. Now we have been pushed to the wall. The only option left is for our people to defend themselves against our annihilators. We need to congratulate Mazi Nnamdi Okukano and others for their foresight in forming the Instant Security Network earlier enough. God used them to do yeoman's job. They checkmated the jihadist invaders. If not, by now Biafra land would have become Fulani colony with refugee camps and graveyards everywhere. Obviously, we serve a living God who won't allow us to be wiped out from the surface of the earth by our vicious enemies. People should understand God is at work in the lives of Ekpa Simon and Joko and others to achieve this great feat. Through the latter may not be fully be aware of it. Like Alexander the Great, a horse can be prepared for war, but safety is of the Lord. Withdraw your soldiers and other armed groups from our land. We no longer want to remain your slaves. Seeking to arrest our or silence Mazi Simon Ekpa won't stop the struggle. Since you abducted Nnamdi Kanu over 2 years ago, has it slowed down the Biafra struggle? It has escalated instead. Biafra is like a spirit that cannot be killed. Those ones you are seeking to apprehend didn't start Biafra agitation. Most of the agitators, including Kanu and Ekpa, were not yet born when Nigeria's civil war began. These young generations of Biafra are the children and nephews of those you fought in 1960s. They are highly determined to free themselves from your bondage and slavery. Let Biafra go, and you will have peace. We can coexist peacefully as neighbors or as neighboring nations. God will help Biafra to be free. He say, he say, he say.
Welcome to this evening security briefing of the Biafra Defense Force, the first ever security briefing, as we are at war with Nigeria, Islamic State, the terrorist state of Nigeria, and we are facing aggression. And as a government, it is our responsibility to defend our people, defend our women, our children, and our innocent people in Biafra land, especially the vulnerable one. People in Biafra land, especially the vulnerable one. When you look at the images or the footage we have released for the past 2 days, you can see how the areas have been deserted because of the aggression of the Islamic terrorist Nigeria. And of course, they have also, from the security report, they were saying that they are ready to fight the Biafra forces for as long as possible. And of course, as the Prime Minister, I am promising them also that we are ready to sustain the defense of Biafra land as long as they are fighting us. So, and you know, the independence of Biafra will start from Olu, Imo State, the old Imo State, and now Olu State, one of the 40 states of Biafra. And that particular prophetic pronouncement is coming to fruition. We have decimated numbers of their armored tank, and the remaining ones that are roaming about will be decimated in a few days to come if they continue to stay there. When you look at the footage we have released, the Biafra Defense Force have released the footage of the aggression against Biafra people, against women and children in their homes. If you look at the image, you will see how they have been harassing our people and making people to flee their homes. Of course, so our we call on those who this particular aggression has affected directly, especially those residing in those areas, to exercise patience with us. Our task is to make sure that we decimate them as many as possible before they will retreat as usual. And like I said, the Biafra forces are ready to sustain and defend our land as long as they want. But before we go into some of the issue I will brief to Biafra people today on the security of our land, I want to also take us back to 1770s, 1760s of the independence of the United States of America. I want us to draw some solace from what America went through in the hand of British before the independence of America. And I want Biafra people and our friends and well-wishers and journalists who are seated on their various locations listening to me today, I want to draw their memory back to American independence. How the America got independent, what led to the declaration of the American independence of 1776. Throughout the 1760s and the early 1770s, the North America colonies found themselves increasingly at odds with the British imperial policies regarding taxation and the frontier policy. We, the Biafra people, continue to find, at odds with everything Nigeria, every policy of Nigeria is, we find it at odds as Biafra people. When repeated protests failed, when the North American found these policies at odds, taxation, everything the British have done to America, it was an odd to them, and they started protesting. They repeated protest upon protest upon protest. The protest failed to influence British policies, and this state resulted in the closing of Port of Boston. The same thing that Nigeria has done to Biafra. Our protests never worked. Going to the street have resulted to the loss of lives of Biafrans. Gathering to air our anger against the policy of the Islamic State of Nigeria have resulted to many deaths of our own young people. And the request for the Biafra people to have a better policy for them to excel in Nigeria also have failed. It led to the closure of all the ports, all the seaports in Biafra land. The same thing British did to America, to North America. That when they rose up to protest, it led to the closure of the port of Boston and the declaration of martial art law in Massachusetts, in the United States. The colonial government sent delegates to a continental congress to coordinate a colonial boycott of British goods. The Congress then, the Continental Congress then, they also tried to boycott everything British goods because the injustice of the British against America was overwhelming. They used every tactics to defeat Britain. None of these tactics worked. They protested, it didn't work. Rather, it led to the closure of Port of Boston, and many martial law were enacted against the North Americans for asking British that this what we are doing is not very well, to us. We don't want this kind of policies. It is a, inhuman policy and not a progressive policy. So what did the British did? They went and enact martial law, and then they closed the port and all that. So they tried to boycott the goods of the British. So when fighting broke out between American colonies and the British forces in Massachusetts, United States, the Continental Congress worked with the local group originally intended to enforce the boycott. So they even had a local people whose their job was to enforcing the boycott of the British goods. So in other way, when people refuse to follow the boycott order from the North Americans, there are people who are going to enforce it by physically engaging, attacking those people who refuse to obey the boycotting of the British goods. This is the tactics that you can use to fight Britain. Britain is one of the most evil countries on this planet. And many people who have fought Britain, for you to win any freedom against any country that British is involved, you must be able to apply extraordinary measures, just like the Biafra government is applying today. Extraordinary measures. You must be able to identify, the cardinal points, how to break the jinx of this country, especially when Britain is involved. So I want us to go to look at what America did, what America went through, and then compare it to what is happening to you as a Biafran today in Nigeria. So the British officials throughout the colonies increasingly found their authority challenged by informal local government. What does that mean? Informal local government. Now, during the time of the British was in charge of America's colonial masters. they had what they call informal government. That could be, equate to what we are having today as the de facto government in Biafra land. That is also something that we can call the exile government of Biafra. So this informal government always challenged the British government. Now, the British officials throughout the colonies increasingly found their authority challenged by informal local government, although loyalist sentiment remained strong in some areas. So at the same time, why this informal government, local government, or not even a state government or federal government, but local government, informal local government, why they fight against the British rule, there are still some influential. The Sabo, just like we have them in Biafra today, those who say instead of North Nigeria, they will die. And they are definitely going to die. They are loyal. There are still people loyal to Nigeria in Biafra land today. The same way so many people in North America were loyal to British imperialism. But the people who are in charge of the local government, the informal local government, were actually fighting for the benefit and the best interest of every North American. Some idiots, some criminals among them were still loyal to British government. Despite these challenges, despite these changes, colonial leaders hoped to reconcile with the British government. And all but the most radical members of the Congress were unwilling to declare independence. However, in late 18 or 1775, Benjamin Franklin, then a member of the Secret Committee of Correspondence, hinted to French agents and other European sympathizers that the colonies were increasingly leaning towards seeking independence because of the heat that they received from those who were ready to take their freedom and America become what it is today. While perhaps true, Franklin also hoped to convince the French to supply the colonies with aid. Independence would be necessary, however, before French officials would consider the possibility of alliance. Throughout the winter of 1775 to 1776, the members of the Continental Congress came to view reconciliation with the British as unlikely, and independence the only course of action available to them. Today, it is the same thing with us. This has happened to America over 200 years ago. Today, it is happening to us. There is no chance of reconciling with Nigeria. The only thing that will reconcile us as a people, as a nation with Nigeria is when we parted away with them. It's only the independence of Biafra that is going to reconcile us with anything Nigeria. Once we have independence, the reconciliation will start because we are going to be good neighbors, we are going to do businesses, we are going to go into alliances, and everybody will respect each other border, each other law, and each other jurisdiction. So we are not going to reconcile with Nigeria until we have our independence from them. And this is exactly what is playing out here, but a lot of people don't know history. So throughout this time, the members of the Congress came to that view of reconciliation with the British as unlikely, and independence is the only course available to them. When on December 22, 1775, the British Parliament prohibited trade with the colonies, Congress responded in April of 1776 by opening colonial ports. This was a major step towards severing ties with Britain. The colonies were aided by the January publication of Thomas Paine, a pamphlet, Common Sense, which advocated the colonies' independence and was widely distributed throughout the colonies. By February of 1776, colonial leaders were discussing the possibility of forming a foreign alliance and began to draft the model treaty that would serve as a basis for the 1978 alliance with France. The same thing, the same game Britain is telling Nigeria to play today. Look at them. Now, the president of Nigeria, that is a drug lord, is running to France. Our own sister called Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, you can see her dancing with the president of France. All of them are ready to sell anything sellable in order to maintain their status quo within the society because Nigeria has made them. Nobody wants to lose his or her relevancies. It is called selfish interest. You do not want to have the interest of the majority of your people to override your interest. It is always your selfish interest, whatever that favors your status in the society, you don't want to jeopardize it. So they see that supporting Biafra is like jeopardizing the status they have attained from Nigeria. That is what is happening. Why other people did not do that? Of course, even in the history, many people did it. Why I want to touch this history a little bit before going into what is happening as our security report today is so that you know why Biafra Liberation Army and Biafra resistance fighters. The brutality of Nigeria can no longer be controlled by anyone. The brutality of Nigeria, genocide against Biafra people, ethnic cleansing happening all over Nigeria. The Biafra people have taken it upon themselves and we have raised this army. The volunteer army, the unpaid army, the army of volunteers, and they are called the Biafra Liberation Army, Biafra resistance fighters and Navy. You can never defeat them. Those of them mercenaries that they have hired today are receiving $1,000 a day to fight in Biafra land, and we are decimating them. Why the people that are fighting with them, alongside with them from Nigeria, are receiving 50,000 naira a month? How much is 50,000 naira when you convert to dollar? When I will answer questions, somebody need to convert it to dollar and tell me why they are paying their mercenaries $1,000. $1,000 today is about 1.6 million. 1.6 million they are paying to their mercenaries who came to our land and they refused to walk on their foot. They are inside armored tank shooting. They don't want to come down. Those coming down and they are getting killed by the Biafra army are receiving 50,000 naira a day. Why those who are directing, commanding them what to do, how to do it, are receiving $1,000 a day? 1.6 million. And you receive $50,000 and you go there and die. You die in Biafra land and you will not stop Biafra from coming. At the end of the day, Biafra will come. So the security report is that we continue to call on Biafrans in Olu State to be very security conscious. Those of you who are yet to flee your home, you will continue to stay indoor as long as this war lasts, because once you come outside, they're going to kill you. You know, it is what they do, what they are there to do is to kill as many Biafra as possible. And like I said, it will not stop this Biafra declaration from happening this year. It will not stop us from getting our freedom. So you have to be very, very security conscious. Be strong where you are. The Biafra forces are doing the needful. But what I will assure you, like I've assured in the past, is that you see, we will sustain this as long as possible, as long as they want. If they want to stay 1 month, with their armored tank, believe me, we are ready to sustain it for 3 months, and we will start bombing them from the air very soon. If they want to spend 2 months, trying to, subdue our men, waiting for when our bullets will finish, believe me, they have a long way to go. Our bullets can never finish. We prepared for them, and we know that days like this will come. If they are waiting to see that our arms and our bombs will finish, believe me, you can know that they have nothing to offer. A war where you will be waiting for somebody's bullet to finish before you can fight the person, you have not started. So I want to assure Biafran people that we are equal to the task. Remember, you have to continue to support the Biafran Defense Force as the only way to your freedom, only way to your happiness, only way to your freedom and the security of Biafra land, we have sealed the entire state. It is state by state. The Biafra Defense Force will continue to decimate targets. Our targets are those slaughterhouses they call prisons, those slaughterhouses they call detention centers, those slaughterhouses, especially where they keep our people in deep freezer, in barracks, in many military bases. These are targets. So, like I have been warning and calling attention of Biafra people for the past month, if you are staying very close to barracks, please be very, very security conscious. Once it is 6 o'clock, go to your home and never come out. I am telling you the fact. Once it is 6 p.m., go inside your house. And I am telling you, not just in Olo, I'm saying anywhere in Biafra land, and you live very close to any military barracks, any military base. Once it's p.m., go inside your house. Don't come out. Because when the Biafra forces will visit that place to decimate it, believe me, we don't want to see any Biafra falling victim. It is our responsibility to protect you as much as possible. That's why we will continue to call your attention before anything will happen to any place. Our target is that those places where our people are being slaughtered will be decimated one after the other. And believe me, it is going to happen in your own very eyes. Every prison or so-called slaughterhouse where our people that have disappeared for many months are being kept, we will all decimate all of them. From Okigwe to Owerri to Obinze to 82 to Anambra, everywhere where I am telling you, we are not hiding it. What we are saying is that you cannot continue to kill Biafrans anymore. We have risen up to make sure that we defend our land. The difference here is that Americans were not being killed like we are being killed today. It was only policy that was not favorable to them by the British. The same policy is against us. The same ethnic cleansing is going on against our Biafra people. The same annihilation is happening. So they have come with policy, guns, bullets, and barrels of gun. Added to the injustice, added to the impunity, added to the marginalization, added to other impunity and other exclusion in the government of Nigeria since 1967. So since 1970, after the war. So they have come to kill, not just about policy. So we are, we have been at the receiving end, paying the price of war in Nigeria over 50 years. And this is the time that we are taking it upon ourselves to stop Nigeria from killing us. And the stopping of Nigeria from killing us is not by always standing and waiting for them to come and you defend yourself. No, we are taking this war to them. Itself, the best first defense is to attack the enemies while they are planning to attack you. And because they have attacked us, that particular attack and killings of Biafra people has been established in many print media. There are many videos out there, and it is not something that anybody is denying. The killings going around all over Nigeria, being sponsored by the Nigeria state for the Islamization, must be condemned by a reasonable person. And it is not just enough that you condemn Nigeria terrorist state for killing its own people, but also action has to be followed. We have condemned them for the past 50 years, and nothing has changed. And it is time we enforce a drastic change, a realistic change. That realistic change can only come by the action that the Biafra government are doing today. It will only come by the actions and defense that the Biafra Defense Forces have displayed today in our land. That is the only way the changes and freedom will come. It will not come by just defending yourself, waiting for them to come and kill you and then you defend yourself. No, you have to continue to decimate them wherever they are planning to attack anywhere in Biafra. Go there and decimate everywhere. And that's the approach we are taking from today. So this security briefing is just to make sure that people in Olu and other parts of old Imo State will be at, will be at very, very alert, security conscious, and make sure that whenever you hear anything from us, we take it very seriously. Any security announcement, any security alert, any information concerning security you hear from us, you have to take it very seriously and stay indoor, especially from 6 p.m. Don't come out. Stay your home. You don't have any business anywhere after 6 p.m. because we will not stop until we see the people, the mercenaries that are in our land, all dead. I am telling you the fact. They must be decimated by the Biafra forces. That is the only job they have to do, nothing else. So I will be taking a few questions before I leave. This briefing shouldn't last more than 40 minutes, but I think it is going to last.
So thank you, great Biafrans. We have all listened to the Prime Minister Ekpa Simon Njoko on the briefing of the Biafra forces and the activities ongoing in Olu. It is still ongoing today. Today happens to be the fourth day, I believe, the fourth day of this intrusion. And then we are praying and we continue to ask our people to continue to pray for the Biafra Defense Forces to sustain this and to be victorious in the end. We continue to tell our people, as the Prime Minister has said, always remain security conscious. It is very important. If you live around barracks or around all those military bases, please always be security conscious. Always be security conscious. Thank you for listening, great Biafrans. We'll come your way soonest as we continue to get information. We'll continue to, inform our people. Stay tuned, stay glued to this platform. If you are a new person here, kindly click on the red subscribe button and like and comment on these videos. Share it, very important. Share it so that it gets wide and gets to the people who needs to, listen to it and be informed as well. Thank you for listening, great Biafrans. We love you. Stay formidable. Biafra first.